Good morning and welcome back to Football League World TV. It's time for two winners and two losers here on the channel. This is where we reflect on the EFL weekend just gone. As ever, I'm joined by Marcus Ali, who will pick his two winners and two losers from the EFL weekend. It was, of course, a reduced schedule with it being the international break, but so much EFL action still took place. Lots of interesting talking points, and I'm sure we're going to discuss them today. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube, so get yourself in the comments. Who are your winners and who are your losers from the EFL weekend? Before we start, Marcus, how are you doing this morning?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, Sam. As you mentioned, a reduced slate, but still just as many contenders for a show like this, so looking forward to revealing them.
Good stuff. Right, as we always do, we're going to start off with the winners. Okay, Marcus, who is your first winner from the EFL weekend just gone?
So kicking off the winners duo is Exeter City, a 4-0 win at Forest Green Rovers in, I believe, the very first EFL fixture of the weekend, Saturday lunchtime kickoff on the Sky Sports cameras. The Grecians really took advantage of that sort of wider audience, showed what they're all about and how they've produced such an enterprising start to the season under Matt Taylor. Maybe a little bit of redemption after being pipped to the League Two title on goal difference on the last game of last season by Forest Green Rovers, but racing into a 3-0 lead on their travels was really impressive. Really asserted their authority in an utterly dominant first half display, and were able to sort of get over back-to-back losses heading into the trip to Forest Green. Some really impressive finishes. Sam Nombe opened the score in. Jay Stansfield chipping in with an assist for a very nice finish for Giovanni Brown's second goal of the game. So yeah, a really satisfying afternoon for Matt Taylor, one that couldn't have gone much better from an Exeter point of view.
Yeah, the Grecians now sit 10th in the League One table. Obviously, promotion from League Two last season. It seems like they've adapted to life in the third tier pretty seamlessly. Marcus, have you been impressed with what you've seen from Exeter so far?
Absolutely. I was concerned about their sort of squad depth heading into the season. They did tend to get most of their business done after the campaign had kicked off, and there do seem to be some shrewd signings, particularly likes of Raheem Harper and Stansfield coming in on loan towards the back end of the window, adding some real quality in some key areas. But yeah, I didn't expect this. 3 points off the playoffs after 10 games is mightily impressive. They're not looking like a side that we're going to have relegation concerns at any point of the season at the moment. Obviously, Forest Green are struggling a little bit. I believe they slipped into the relegation zone after this match. But just the way they impose themselves on it, sometimes we can see early on in the season, promoted club versus promoted club can be a little bit of a leveller. But that was not the case at all. And it could be maybe a little bit concerning from Forest Green's point of view, just how good Exeter are looking compared to themselves, considering where they were last season.
Yeah, like I say, a hat-trick for Giovanni Brown on the weekend. That's now 6 goals for him in League One this term. It's been an impressive start to life in League One for him in particular. There we go. Marcus opting for Exeter City as his first winner from the EFL weekend. They recorded an impressive 4-0 win away at Forest Green Rovers. Right, let's get Marcus' second winner next. Okay, who is your second winner from the EFL weekend?
Next up is Leyton Orient, the league leaders in League Two, a 2-0 win at Barrow, sort of a fellow automatic promotion rival at the start of this campaign in the 4th tier. It's not so much the performance as a whole that has them as a winner here. I thought Barrow gave as good as they got, did create some good chances, and it was more of a grinding it out from Leyton Orient. Paul Smith opened the scoring with a deflected effort, and then Idris El Mazouni with a classy sort of long shot into the bottom corner, getting them the win. But I can't really remember a better start to an EFL season than this. It's been absolutely incredible. 9 wins and 1 draw from their first 10 games, just 4 goals conceded. and crucially, a 7-point cushion inside the automatic promotion places after just 10 games. Really is an incredible start from the O's. As I said, I was quite impressed with Barrow, but to grind it out 2-0 and take a clean sheet from there, I'm not sure too many sides will be doing that this season, given the way that Barrow have started under Pete Weil. But no, just a very professional job. So good at defending their own goal. That partnership of Omar Beckles and Dan Happe at centre back is looking really good. And when you've got a goalkeeper of the experience and quality for the level like Lawrence Vigouroux, you give yourself a good chance of keeping it tight at the back. So it must have been a very pleasing result for Richie Wellens. And yeah, the table looks mightily good for the O's at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 4 goals conceded in their first games in League Two this term. It really is an impressive rear guard that Richie Wellens has got at Leyton Orient right now. Just finally then on Orient, like we say, it's been a fantastic start. They haven't lost a game all season. Portsmouth in League One, the other EFL team that haven't lost so far this campaign. Can Orient maintain it, Marcus, for you? I mean, we've seen it in the past where Orient seem to start like a steam train, and as the sort of season progresses, we see them sort of decline down the league a little bit. But this almost feels a little bit different given the manner of how they've started. How do you feel they'll sort of progress throughout this season?
I feel a lot more confident than when they started promisingly last season. Obviously, I'm absolutely in no way expecting them to win 9 of their next 10 games. That they have conceded far more chances than the 4 goals conceded suggests. I think when you have a keeper in Vigouroux that we know when he's at his best can be potentially even one of the better keepers outside of the Championship, let alone below League One level. But I am expecting them to maintain it and at least hang around the promotion picture and the top 3. I think we saw Richie Wellens' Swindon side. They were pretty much front runners for the vast majority of that 2019-20 campaign, holding on before it was curtailed to take the title. And 7 points at this stage feels very commanding, given how strong they are defensively, how hard they're looking to beat. So I would expect a drop off at some point. It's unsustainable to win 90% of your matches and continue that on throughout the season. But that said, I'm not expecting a drop off like anything like what we saw last season under Kenny Jackett. I think that they're putting themselves in a great position to almost do what we saw Forest Green do last season and really be ruthless in terms of their play and consistency of their results and build a really strong cushion inside those top 3 places.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a blistering start for Paul Smythe as well. 4 goals for him so far this campaign. He notched as well on the weekend. Well, let us know your thoughts on Marcus's winners from the weekend. Get yourself in the comments. Who were you impressed with over this reduced fixture list on the weekend? We'd love to get your thoughts. Right, let's move over to the losers next. Okay, who's your first loser from the EFL weekend just gone, Marcus?
Charlton Athletic are the first loser of the week. Not so much, again, due to this result in isolation, but more how it reflects on the campaign as a whole and where it has put the Addicts in the league table. They go down 3-1 at Barnsley. Can't have been too much of a surprise. I think the Tigers were worthy favourites going into the match, but it's now 6 games without a win for Charlton. What was a promising start, victories over Derby and Plymouth Argyle in the first 5 fixtures, I believe, is now becoming slightly concerning. Barnsley opened the scoring with an absolute screamer from Josh Benson, an absolute rocket. You can't really complain too much about that, but the way they sort of found it easy to carve Charlton open in the second half would have been pretty concerning for Ben Garner. The third guy in particular is pretty schoolboy. Both centre-backs Sam Lavelle and Owen O'Connell go for the same ball, and Jordan Williams gets there in front of them and gives Devante Cole a tap-in. So, yeah, it's been a very frustrating last few weeks for Charlton. So they've slipped away from the early sort of playoff chasing pack, at least. Now just 3 points above the drop zone. 4 of their next 5 games are against top half opposition, clubs currently in the top half at least. And the one exception to that rule is a home game against Oxford United next Saturday, a side that we've been accustomed to seeing in and around the top 6 picture, albeit have had a slow start to the season. So it was probably a game that I expected Charlton to lose going into it, but the trajectory that they're on now after a disappointing end to the summer transfer window as well is looking pretty concerning. Going forward, they're not too bad. They've scored in all but one game, scored in 9 of 10 so far, but it's the defence that you really worry about. It's unsustainable to put positive runs together if you're going to have to be scoring 2 or 3 goals to win a game week in, week out. A good win for Barnsley. They've really turned the corner under Michael Duff, but for Charlton, they are beginning to look over their shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, Michael Duff enjoying a strong start now at Barnsley. It was always going to be a tough place to go, but Charlton winless now. Like you say, in their last 6 League One games. Let's just touch on Charlton briefly once more, Marcus. Given your affiliations with Charlton, what is the mood within the fan base with regards to Ben Garner? It is, of course, still the early advances of this League One campaign. However, it is quite an alarming run of form given the aspirations that Charlton have this season. I mean, how is the mood?
It's a difficult one to measure. Obviously, it's frustrating times. A club of the size of Charlton will always want to be competing for promotion when they're in the 3rd tier. That said, mid-table looked realistic at the start of the season, given the budget at his disposal and the squad. I don't think any of the blame lies at Ben Garner's door. To be honest, I don't think he's been given the tools to exceed expectations, which is what he would have needed to produce a promotion push with the Addicts this season. Obviously, he comes with a very bold style of play, something completely different to what Johnny Jackson was deploying at the club last season. So you're going to need the tools to implement that and for it to be successful quickly. So, to be honest, right now, for me personally, I don't leave any of the blame at Ben Garner's door. I think he's got his hands tied behind his back a little bit, and I think that would largely be reflected with the remainder of the fan base. Obviously, 16th in League One is very frustrating, and there probably will be some friction from the stands if they don't get a positive result against Oxford at the weekend. But I think most supporters know that the circumstances haven't been sort of positive to help Garner get the best out of this squad at the start of the season.
Okay, Charlton, Marcus's first loser from the EFL weekend just gone. They were down 3-1 by Barnsley at Oakwell. Right, let's get Marcus's second and final loser next. Okay, who disappointed you this weekend in the EFL, Marcus?
Crawley Town are the second loser of today's show. A 4-1 defeat at Doncaster Rovers. They held them at 1-1 going into half-time. It looked like potentially a competitive game and one that they could get something out of, but it really was a capitulation in the second half, going down 4-1 at Donny. Crawley continue to be lacking a lot going forward. James Tilley gives them an equaliser and some momentum heading into half-time, but Donny were able to turn the screw far too easily in the second half, really. Crawley now looking over their shoulders, just 1 place and 1 point above the relegation zone. And that's with Rochdale picking up their first win under Jim Bentley and in League Two this season at the weekend. So, yeah, potentially concerning times at Crawley. Kevin Betsy, I think, with just 1 league win so far this season as well. And the 4th goal for me was really worrying, suggesting potentially that the players are, well, you don't want to accuse players of down toolsing, but it was a really poor 4th goal. Kyle Hurst picks up the ball inside his own half for Donny and just drives through the centre of the pitch virtually unchallenged until finishing off close range. It really was bizarre, the number of Crawley players that they had back that didn't sort of become alert to the danger quick enough. It's tricky to see where Crawley go from here after a second half performance that was as concerning as that. All I can say is hopefully they saw some talented players at the Sidemen match over the weekend.
Yeah, interesting developments there with regards to the Sidemen match. I suppose there were some hopes that there was going to be a bit of success at Crawley. We saw an interesting transfer window. You know, the likes of Dom Telford arrived, the League Two's top scorer from last term. Are you surprised with how poor they've started, Marcus? I mean, there was a lot of change. New manager coming as well, Kevin Betsy. It's been a very slow start and an alarming start, hasn't it?
Yeah, it hasn't matched up my expectations at all. I wasn't sort of expecting them to be right in and around the top end in terms of automatic promotion places, but I thought after the last 2 seasons of positive, well, progress that they've made, at least being an upper mid-table side, with the investment and some promising additions that they added, I think it was most people thought that they would be able to compete for a place in the top 7 this season. I think they're 12 points off. I may be wrong. I think they've got 6 points. They've got 6 points right now, and it's over a 10-point gap to the playoffs as it stands, which we know in League Two how close it is if you're able to string some wins together. But given the performances at the moment, a run like that does not seem very close at all. So yeah, that they have fallen well below my expectations so far. I think they do have the players to be putting in better performances and getting better results. Even some performers that we've seen in years gone by hit much higher levels in League Two. But yeah, the way they're playing at the moment is of particular concern in the final third. I know they've been undone at Doncaster quite easily defensively, but going forward has been where their real issue has been so far this season. And yeah, that does need to change quickly, or they're going to have to realign their expectations for a potential bottom half finish or even a relegation battle.
Yeah, the joint most goals conceded in League Two so far, alongside Hartlepool in League Two. Leaking goals does seem to be an issue for the Red Devils. A humbling defeat on the weekend away at the Keep Moat Stadium. 4-1. They lost to Donny. Right, well, that brings an end to 2 winners and 2 losers here on Football League World TV on this Monday morning. We hope everyone enjoyed the show. Thanks for tuning in and watching. If you're watching this on repeat on YouTube, please do stick a like in below this video and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us grow on this particular platform. Marcus, thanks for joining me this morning. Thanks everyone, as I said, that tuned in to watch this. We shall see you very soon.